Come on, then.
Are you for real? Let's get started. Do you know when you press it and it does like some processing thing for a few seconds? I have no control over it. Evening, everybody. Hope you're well. And welcome to Grumpy Old or Happy Old.
Grumpy my arse.
I'll tell you, you're so... I don't think I can deal with you today, man. We're never going to win another game this season. If he says we're going to win every game, I'm booting him off here. I hope you guys are well. What are you guys saying about it? Are Forest back in control of their own destiny? Is the future in our hands? Or are we still going to bottle it, as some other YouTubers are saying?
Chance.
Make sure you've hit that like button. Make sure you've subscribed. And there's only one place to start. And that's with Ben about his boy Toffolo.
Well, I thought Toffolo was excellent. So shout out to Toffolo for proving me wrong. Look, it's the first time
Proving you wrong. Didn't you want him in the team?
No, I
Isn't
wanted
that
him
what
out
you were
the,
saying before the match?
No, I wanted him out of the club. I'd ban him from the sea. Not anymore, but look, it's the first time I've been wrong in 2.5 years. So shout out to Toffolo. I thought he had an excellent game, and that clearance was sublime. And he actually, for me, is ahead of Moreno now. I would go for Toffolo now ahead of Moreno. So I thought he had a fantastic game. To say he's been out, he hasn't played hardly any Premiership football this season.
Premiership's rugby, bro.
Premier League. Yeah, to say he hasn't played much Premier League football this season, I thought he was fantastic. So shout out to Toffolo. He proved some of the haters wrong. But I mean, just in general, I don't know why you guys ever doubted that we would smash Spurs. I thought it was a pretty easy game. I thought we did well. Our defense was solid. It was great to see Anderson get a goal. I'm not quite sure why Jamie Carragher was so upset on Sky that Anderson scored, but he was trying to down-talk it constantly. But it was a lovely shot from Anderson. Wood was back to his best, doing his clinical finishing again, getting in the right places. Alanga's cross was fantastic. I thought we did pretty well. It was a bit nerve-wracking at times, but I've got to say, Richarlison is awful. I know he scored, but 3 of his headers went the wrong way. They went back towards the Spurs goal. So they were really disappointing.
The best one is when he tried to act as our defender and got in the way of Sarr, even though Sarr was offside.
Yeah. Richarlison, I know he scored, but he's genuinely awful, Richarlison. So it's a good job, I think, that we didn't have Solanke and Johnson on from the beginning, because they looked a bit more on the ball when they came on. But it was interesting as well to see Nuno make an early sub this time, obviously taking Elanga off at half-time for Morato, getting 5 at the back, which again, clearly worked. There was another great save in there by Sells. Yates came on to wind up opponents, spent last night trolling through Twitter, seeing all the people hating on Ryan Yates as usual. And Taiwo did what he did and came on kind of with no goal threat, but held up the ball well. So, yeah, in general, it was fine. My only slight problem, and I'm sure Ant will rebuttal this, but I thought Danilo was really crap yesterday.
You've got an agenda, mate. You really
lost the ball.
Really have got an agenda.
I counted. He lost the ball.
No, you didn't.
6 times.
No, you didn't. Let's get the stats up. Let's get
6 times. He lost the ball 6 times in the first half. I don't know how many times he lost it in the second half, but the first half, Danilo gave possession away 6 times. Yes, he won some tackles. Yes, he won some one-on-ones, but his passing is dreadful. Danilo's passing is not Premier League level. So despite the rest of the game, which I thought was pretty good and some good performances all round, Danilo for me is not at the level he needs to be.
All right, and I'll let you jump in because you got a lot of.
I'm not going to respond to what is clearly some sort of agenda.
Yeah, okay, but you got a lot of defending yourself to do.
It's wind me up, and I'm not going to allow it. Okay.
All right. Okay, forget that.
Perfectly
You've
fine
got
game.
a lot of people calling you out in the chat and myself. You
No,
said
have
we
I?
weren't going to win another game. You said we'd blown it. Europa.
I didn't. I was
Over
worried
to
about
you.
Europa. Yeah. I did say if you actually watch the stream that people are talking about, I did say I know I'm being reactionary, and if we win on Monday, I'll be totally different because I'm a football fan. I react to what I see on the pitch. It's no good talking about what we've done in the past, what we're going to do in the future. No, it's right now. And the Everton match was a disgrace. However, I am so happy that the boys proved that they have got the heart. I will say I was wrong in that I was concerned that they didn't have the heart for it or the heart had gone. No, they showed me on Monday night that the heart's still there. And if we perform like that, I'll totally flip-flop. And if we perform like that, of course we'll get Champions League. It was a season changer. It was such an important game because we lost our two previous games and we performed for 1.5 of those games really, really poorly. But on the game last night, from the minute we kicked off, we were at it. We got our 2 goals, and then we decided to be more conservative, which I don't have a problem with. However, I was personally not happy that he brought Morata on at half-time. I didn't see the need for it. We were coping perfectly well. And what that did, and I'm sure the stats, because, people love stats, don't they? I'm sure the stats will bear this out. What that did was put us under so much pressure for virtually the entire 45 minutes that, let's be honest, Spurs had chances. They had chances. It's a good, they're not very good, but they had chances. And I thought we brought that on ourselves by going to a back 5. In the first half, we were superb. Our patterns of play, our style of football was absolutely spot on. In the second half, we were pretty much under siege for most of the game. I mean, they scored a goal in the 86th minute, I believe, and that was their 48th cross into the box. Now, if you were doing a training session and you had 48 crosses and scored 1 goal, you'd be seriously worried about you'd be concerned about your team. Any other manager after the first 20 produced nothing would have changed it. But Ange Postecoglou is a knob. So, we weren't fortunate. That's wrong because we were superb. Our defensive display was superb. Harry Toffolo, what a hero. And what I loved about it, and I've just spoken on Savage Channel a few minutes ago, I said that people sometimes say, you were lucky you kicked one off the line. Well, that's the 3rd goal this season we've kicked off the line. And Toffolo, in his interview afterwards, said, no, I was told to go there. That's weird. That's why after that, he ran and hugged the set piece coach or the trainer or whatever to say, you were right. So it's not luck that we clear off the line. It's players being in the right position, having been told by the coaching staff to be in those positions. And I
shouldn't be in a position to clear off the line, in my ideal opinion.
I won't hear it. No team goes, or very few teams go through a match without conceding a chance. Right? It happens. The fact is that 99% of teams will let that goal in. We don't, because we're properly coached in that respect. So the defensive performance was, I was pleased as points that Murillo seems to be back in the game. And that's a massive bonus for us. I know he gave the ball away a lot of times, but he does that. But defensively, he seemed back in the game. Milenkovic, as usual, magnificent. Anderson, oh my God. That guy. I was so pleased he got the goal. It was a deflection, yeah, but it didn't deviate the direction of the ball. It just made it bounce. And the goalkeeper wasn't very good. But that happens in football. I wouldn't take anything away from the shot. The shot was hard, powerful, and in the right direction. Great goal. And Chris Wood, again, everything just went right last night. Superb cross by Elanga. Absolutely superb. And Chris Wood, what a guy. Between 2 defenders, that's how you score a header. So all in all, very, very encouraged. And now we'll look at it. And, we've got 5 games left, 3 of them at home against Brentford, Leicester, and Chelsea. Not exactly the most daunting of sides. So there's no reason from now on that we shouldn't go on and get Champions League. I feel so much better than I felt on Sunday. You know what I mean? It made all the difference in the world to me, and I've got belief back in my heart, and I can't wait for that. But I'm not even thinking about the FA Cup. I forget about that. I can't wait for that Brentford game. You know. So yeah,
so if we lose to Brentford and Villa win, what are you saying?
then we're shagged again, aren't we? Obviously, that's how football works. Well, it is. That's how football works. If you lose and your opponents win, it puts you in trouble.
And by the way, I've checked, and Crypto was actually right. He did lose. He made 6 loose passes.
In
but out of how many and in what position? And how? See, this is about stats. You see, honestly, Crypto. No. Let me say this, right? Stats don't take. What if the ball was given to him in an area where he was under pressure and he had to get rid of it quickly?
Yeah, but
to be honest, the first pass he made of the game, he gave away under no pressure.
Danilo is a superb footballer. If you can't see that, I feel sorry for you, my friend.
Yeah, but it wasn't 6 out of 10. It wasn't 6 out of 15. It was 6 out of 6.
How many times did Gibbs-White give the ball away?
I don't care. Gibbs-White.
I can tell you. Hold on.
Hang on. How many times did Anderson give the ball away?
All right, give me a second. I'll tell you. Don't machine gun me with names.
How many times did Anderson give the ball? No, not you, son. I want Wolfie. I want to ask him. Him, not you. I don't want you to say. How many times did Anderson give the ball away?
I don't care because I proved himself.
No. How many times did Toffolo give the ball away? How many times?
Toffolo was great. I thought Toffolo was fantastic.
The only player you know is Danilo because he's the only one you check because you want to have a go at him. Now grow up.
I just thought he was crap.
Yeah, because you don't know about football, do you?
All right. We're 12 minutes in, and Rob hasn't said a word. Right? You've each had your monologues. Both of them very long. So go on, Rob. I guess it's only fair you get your one.
Well, I thought Ange Postecoglou summed it up the best. Did you see his interview?
No.
Well, he said they didn't deserve to lose.
So it basically went a bit like this. Look, mate, I've been saying this all year. We gave away 2 really soft, bad goals. Bad goals. They shouldn't count. They shouldn't count. And we fully deserve the 3 points. And it's not my fault. In fact, it's not fair. In fact, I am the greatest manager in the world. And Spurs are shit. And I hate them. And I hate you. That's what he had to say about it. And I thought that was a pretty good summary of the game.
That was quite good, Rob. I'm impressed.
Thank you.
I don't know if it's brilliant or cringy. I can't quite decide.
That's the thing. It's a fine line between the two. Just a bit like Forest themselves, really. But I really enjoy seeing that man suffer because he is such a... I would use the word that's 4 letters, but it's too early in the evening for it. And I would get clipped up on Twitter by that MMA guy. So I cannot understand how that guy is still in a job. It's never his fault, is it? And it's never fair, despite the fact we had a goal disallowed. And it's always someone else to blame. And our goals were really crap. And his team was really good. And it's like, yeah, just literally swivel on that, right? I really enjoyed it. I was more interested in his interview than in hearing what Nuno had to say and what Harry Toffolo had to say. We deserved that result. I mean, you've covered off most of the other stuff. I'm really pleased for Toffolo as well. I think we've got to remember that our squad has moved on quite a bit, but it's not like where we had people in the first couple of years that really weren't up to the job, right? So the people that possibly weren't Premier quality have moved on now, whether it's like Worrell or Dennis or McKenna. I don't want to name names, right? But you look now at who we've got in the squad. Players like Toffolo, Sangare, Bolle, Sousa, Danilo, they do have something to offer. And I think Nuno needs to have the courage to use them in this running because, you know, we have been picking up injuries. So I was really pleased for Toffolo. I think he had, even outside of the clearance off the line, which is now, that's a hat-trick of clearance off the line. He had a great game. He won some tackles. And, you know, for some reason, they were targeting Nico on the other side. I thought, Tell and Spence were causing the problems. And, like, they didn't pick on Toffolo at all. He just cleaned everything up on that side. So, you know, onwards and upwards. Just as I said the other day, we haven't won anything yet. We haven't lost anything yet. But we showed last night that we will not go quietly into the night. Everybody was waiting and watching and hoping that Forest would die off, and we are still third. I do think if you look at the table now, that top 7, the top 7 and Wolves are the only ones winning everything. Everyone else has gone to crap, right? Look at how Brentford and Brighton and Bournemouth have just dropped off. There's a gap opening up with them. They can't win for Toffee now. So the problem is that I've been looking really hard at the run-ins, and I'm sure we'll come on to this later. But I think we're going to need 69, 70 points. I just don't think that 65, 66 is enough, because there's 5 teams we're vying with, and they're all playing really, really well. And we've got to shake a couple of them off, and we've got to have it in the bag before we play Chelsea. So, we need 3 wins and a draw from the next from the next 4 games.
Right.
Because that gets us to 70, and then job done before we play Chelsea. Because that Chelsea game is a 6-point swing, right? I'm really pit of the stomach worried about that game. So anyway,
Really?
Yes.
Do you know what you said there, Rob? That's fascinating. You're right. The only team outside of the top 7 and Brentford and Wolves to 1 is Brentford, who obviously we have next. But everyone else either most of them Eld or Deed.
Yeah, for the last few games. So those teams are all coming good now. Villa, Newcastle, so strong.
Do you know, sorry, Rob, the only team, again, in that bracket to have won was Everton the game week before against us, of course. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It is crazy. So I've looked at the number of points that the 5th place team has had going back over the last 5-6 seasons. And it's generally about 66, 67, 68. 1 year it was as high as 70. 1 year it was as low as 64. But we need 70 points. I thought we were going to burn these teams off. I thought we were going to accelerate away. But with those points dropped against Everton, we're in a tricky situation now. But looking at the run-ins, Chelsea have got the hardest. Newcastle's manager is ill, get well soon, obviously, but that might knock them back a bit. They lost the last game, but I don't see much sign of weakness there. Why is that hysteria? Firstly, I think we can get 70 points, but secondly, I don't think that
it is too much. It's too much.
Yeah, it sounds a lot that.
Why?
Because it's 70 would be like freaking 3rd place.
Right. So all these teams have 5 games left. And at the moment, they're all getting 2 points a game. Right? If you look at the last 5 or 6 games of the top 7, it's all like 4 wins or
Rob, they're playing each other, Rob.
Yeah,
you taking that into account?
A lot of matches.
Right? No, there's not that many games between the teams, actually.
Yes, there is.
No, there are not. So I think Newcastle have to play Arsenal. I think Chelsea have to play a couple of them, but it's actually not that many.
Okay, well, tonight it's Aston Villa against Man City, as one. Newcastle will play Chelsea, and they will play Arsenal as well. So technically, they're playing a top 7 team within that. You've got Man City. Hold on. Man City are playing Villa. That's the only one they've got. And then who's the other team in there?
Newcastle.
Villa.
Anyway, look, we're 3rd. We just have to win the next 3 games.
And you're kind of right. They've all got 1, maybe 2. But that I think 70 is too much. I think 70. Wait, we'll come into it in a little bit. We'll get into it in a little bit. What was your take on Danilo, Rob?
Sorry, can I, before Rob answers that, I've done a bit of research, and I went to the same place that we got the 6 times that Danilo gave the ball away. MGW gave the ball away 10 times, and these are the only 2 players I looked at, by the way, because of the midfielders. And Anderson gave the ball away 14 times. Okay, carry on, Rob.
What's your point?
I thought Danilo was all right.
I specifically said the first half.
I thought Danilo was all right. I thought the central spine of the team was, it was clearly an attempt to force them wide. I think they put in 48 crosses all night or something like that. Or when they scored,
on
it
the
was
48th cross.
Yeah, they scored on the 48th cross. So it was clearly a tactic to put them wide. And I must say, Milenkovic must have headed at least 20 of those away. He was such a rock. He was basically what we didn't have last year. I mean, if you remember, at the City ground, Richarlison scored a header. And I think he was against, I can't remember who he was against. I don't want to chew somebody out. But, you know, that's the difference. We're deliberately saying, cross all you like, because Milenkovic will deal with it. I thought Danilo was all right. I thought Danilo was okay.
Yeah, he was all right. He wasn't brilliant, and he wasn't bad. He had a good game, 7 out of 10.
I think he grew into the game. Would be fairer to say. I thought he started really poor.
I don't mind bringing Morato on at half time. All I would say is we still have not surrendered a lead with Morato on the pitch. That is still a fact, right? We've conceded goals, we've lost games, but we've not surrendered a lead with Morato on the pitch.
Didn't we do it against Exeter with him on the pitch?
What? All right. Should we just say league games, right?
Yeah.
Once he's come on, we have not thrown away a lead with him on, right?
Yeah, but that's such a like.
Also, I agree with Laurie on this, man. I agree with Laurie.
I've no problem. I've no problem with using the halftime substitution window. You know my point of view on this. And remember in the reverse fixture when we played at the City ground, we were sort of sitting there on 60, 70 minutes screaming for Morato, and he came on about 79 minutes, and we said maybe it was a flex by Nuno, so he brought him on a bit earlier this time.
Yeah, but that's when Morato was good, man. I'll be honest with you. Last month he hasn't been that good for me.
He was all right last night.
He's not a great defender.
Yeah, he was.
I don't know. I think the switch was too. I agree with Ant. I thought we were very comfortable in our shape. I think the switch was done with the semi-final in mind. I think Nuno thought the game was done at halftime.
Do you know what was actually shocking? It was the fact that Morgan Gibbs-White didn't finish that chance when Wood put him through. That should have been 3-0.
If I was the other way around, it would have been finished off. Trust me. If it was Chris Wood taking the shot and MG Dub putting it through, it would have finished. But didn't Toffolo say in his post-match, evening by the way, everyone, sorry I'm late. Didn't Toffolo say in his post-match but it was a tactical decision at halftime to take Elanga off. So obviously Nuno is thinking ahead to the cup game. But to be honest, a lot of you, and I've heard on a few other channels as well, that they were panicking and that. I was not, even when they scored that goal, mate, I was not panicking. I felt they played perfectly.
I was bricking it.
I was.
Is it me? I've got ice in my veins. I walked out of a Man U game when we were 1-0.
No, I know what you got in your veins, mate, that keeps you calm.
So I don't know what it is. Don't tell everyone, no. But no, I was comfortable with last night, and I thought finally it was performance-wise, certainly it was back to what we've been doing all season and got us where we are. And for that reason, you know, I've not been down like you guys. I've not been negative. I saw what I tried to look at yesterday's situation pre-game from a player's point of view. They would have seen, hopefully, that a win tonight and we're back in third and it's back in our hands. And that should have been a mentality going into that game. And I think that's what it was, because you saw how they celebrated at the end of that match. It meant something yesterday. As much as it meant to us, the players really felt it yesterday. So it was obviously an important 3 points, a massive 3 points, but also you'd be talking about the fixtures, aren't you? Now, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but looking ahead with the way that our games are falling, we are playing pretty much for certainly the next 2 game weeks. We're the last ones to play. So we'll know we know what we have to do anyway. We need to win our game, simple as that. We need to be beating Brentford. But it does give us that advantage playing last, I feel. It did, but I can remember that first season we just about clawed staying up. We were playing last at the end of those match weeks, and it did help us. So I think in this situation, that could help as well. But yesterday, mate, I was comfortable. I thought it was back to our best. 3 chances and we almost scored 3 goals. MG Dub his initial shot, which is what led to the corner that got Anderson's goal, was one of his best shots. It was totally out of the blue. I didn't expect that at all from him. But then he gets a chance later on, 2 chances, in fact, wasn't it? That's not where he's absolutely fluffed it. So we discussed earlier in the week about MG Dub's price tag. If they want to pay 100 million or anywhere close to that for him, I'm still willing to let him go, mate. But I don't know if I want to say anything else. Have you guys covered the whole game? I missed, obviously, what you've been talking about.
Yeah, pretty much. We can start going into the nuances of it. If you want to go, let's go down MGW stuff then. Because I right now, the mood I'm in with him, I'd take 80.
Yeah.
You say that as if it's like, crazy.
No, but
We've got
80
80,
million.
mate. We should be running around around the streets with our pants in the air, mate. I tell you.
I just wish he'd learned to shoot. Do you remember how scary he was in the Championship when he came up against us at Sheffield United? Because of his
bloody
goal
hell.
threat?
The only thing I remember was him missing a penalty against us. That's the only thing I can remember.
No, but
man,
that season,
Yeah.
and that season he was such a menace.
I'm kidding.
Yeah. But he was an absolute nightmare, and he was one player that you didn't want to come up against. When he scored that, was it the equaliser on the night? And I was like, oh, here we go again. You just knew something, you just felt it. You felt those feelings again from the Blackpool game, every other game that we've messed up in the playoffs. But yeah, he was a menace. So I haven't seen that side of him really for us, certainly as a goal threat.
Do you know they're convinced they're getting him? There's rumors. I know nothing about this, right? This is all coming from the City side. They're saying that he's been spotted house hunting in Manchester, that he's been chilling with Phil Foden, that this is not a deal, that this is that.
Yeah,
this
he's
is
Phil
the other.
Foden's mate, but the guy's not going to go house hunting in Manchester when he's at Forest playing for
Exactly.
Those players don't live in Manchester anyway. They all live in Cheshire. They all live in Oldley Edge or something like that.
Yeah. In footballers' houses. That's what they live in.
I've got the solution for Gibbs-White. I was thinking about the solution for Gibbs-White because we all know his passing is the best in the league, but his shooting is sort of League One.
His passing is not the best in the league.
Well, what I want him to do is this, right? Morgan, next time you're in front of the goal, I want you to imagine
into the net.
Yeah, I want you to imagine that Callum Hudson-Odoi is standing in the bottom corner of the goal, and I want you to do one of those fantastic passes to him, right? And see what happens. Because
I always think that, Rob.
Yeah.
I always think that. Why can't you pass it into the net?
Imagine that Elanga is hanging off the top corner of the goal, and just do one of those Trivellas to him and just see what happens. Because for some reason, when
what are you lot talking
when
about?
he comes to take a shot, when he comes to take a shot, he snatches at it.
Trivella's an outside of the boot person.
Trivella's when he go like that.
Yeah, well, no, but he sliced his shot last night. He was trying to Trivella.
Oh, yeah.
The thing is, I think it's something to do with his mentality when he takes a shot, because he doesn't get his weight over the ball. He leans back, he snatches at it, and it's like he's getting a little adrenaline panic attack. I've got to have a shot.
That's it. He snatches.
But with his passing, it's like surgical. So he needs to imagine he's passing to Chris Wood.
I'm telling you, he's Bruno Fernandes. That's what he is.
Why did you say Bruno Fernandes? Bruno Fernandes has got a finish on him.
Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah, minus the finish. Minus the finish. I'm telling you.
He's a great player.
Yeah.
Well, I'll never say a Man U player is a great player.
Yeah, but
we are allowed to be grumpy on grumpy old Reds.
I'm just saying, look, I think Morgan Gibbs-White is an exceptional player. I just don't think he's reaching his potential right now. And the big part of that for me is the shooting. The passing I can live with. He'll get most of his passes off and then he'll mess it up. He started to do the old spinneroonies in the middle of the pitch again.
He's got to get that back in check, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Quite good, actually.
It's the shooting.
You're all right. There's a holiday park, according to Google. Trevella's a holiday park. I can't find any.
That's
Trevella. Maybe we need panelists. I just for me, it's the shooting. If he can't shoot anymore, put him in an 8. Put him in the 8.
But don't they see that? That's why I don't understand his value. I can see other sides.
It's paper talk value. It's not actual what clubs are going to come in for him for.
But we're not going to accept
MGW for 100 mil. No.
Yeah,
club.
but we're not going to accept any less than 80 mil, are we? I can't see that. I don't see the point.
That's
I
just
don't see the point.
negotiation talk.
I don't
He
see
was
a-
scoring goals in the championship for Sheffield, man. This is the thing I'm saying. He
Yeah,
looked
that's
quite
what we're
natural
saying,
at
yeah.
it. He looked
Yeah.
quite natural. In fact, they played him up front when they had an injury crisis, didn't they?
But
They
that's
were
what
playing
makes.
Morgan Gibbs-White up front.
But that's what
Yeah,
makes a.
he played
That's
as a
what makes the
striker.
top. That's what makes the top strikers the top strikers. Is they always seem to have that time to pick where they're going to put the ball.
But also, I mean,
Whereas
listen,
most
we've seen it.
footballers snatch at it. The top ones
We've
you
seen
watch, they always seem to have that time. Gunners.
But we've seen it. There's levels to this. You can't compare a Championship Gibbs-White to a Premier League Nottingham Forest top.
Yeah,
top.
but as the rest of his game moved on and accelerated, like the other
I
traits
agree.
you saw in the Championship moved along into the level of the Premier League. The shooting didn't, man. The shooting didn't.
No, I mean, you're right. There were times when they did play him as strikers. I think he scored. I think he got into double figures that season for goals for Sheffield United in the season we obviously went up. So you're right, but I do think they played him right up front in a couple of games.
He played up. What are we talking about? He played up front against us in the semi-finals.
Well,
Sheffield had an injury crisis in the running, and they were playing Berger up front and Gibbs-White up front because they had no recognised strikers fit.
Yeah.
They had Ndiaye as well, didn't they?
His
They had
position.
Ndiaye at the
So it's
time.
a bit unfair to expect him to, be slotting goals away like a striker. But he should score.
No,
more. He should
I
be
get
better.
that, Ant, but I'm saying he
I'm
produced.
agreeing with you.
Like my point here is, if I look at tens, right, current tens in the league, I look at someone like, I hate to say his name, Fernandes. He gets goals, right? As annoying as he is,
He doesn't
you
always
look
play
at,
10.
and he's been playing as an 8 as well, hasn't
Yeah.
he? You got Morgan Rogers, who can shoot.
He doesn't play as an out and out.
He's been moved out to the right because Asensio has come in, but in general, he's a 10. Yeah,
you can play a 10.
Yeah, you got
Maddison's
all these 10s. I feel they're just goal contributions are a lot higher than Gibbs-White at the moment, and it's getting a bit further. I would just say, you know what? Can't shoot, won't shoot. Put him as an 8. Push him back as an 8.
Well, we've all said that, haven't we? We've all said
that.
But even
But
8 should be able to score. Even 8 need to arrive late in the box and score.
Yeah.
How many goals has he got this season?
3. I think.
Is that all?
He's on
Sure,
ball like
3.
4, 5.
I'll tell you one sec.
Either way, I mean, I've said this before. He should, for what we're expecting from him, certainly now at this level, he's got to be in double figures for goals and assists. 10 goals, 10 assists. That's what the benchmark.
He's got 5.
That's massive.
It's got to, and if you're looking at the players around, okay, compare him to I said this the other day. We need like a real talisman, like a Saka, like a Salah. I know they're the top of, but
he ain't nosy.
But that's
5 goals, 7 assists.
If that's a party we want to be in, the top 3 that we're in right now, who is our Saka, who is our Salah? It's MG Dub, isn't it?
We're in the top 3 because we've got a fantastic
defense.
defense. That's why we're in the top 3.
Of course, but obviously we take our chances as well. I mean, yesterday I think our XG was less than 1.
It was tiny.
Yeah,
and theirs was 2. I'm sure theirs was 2 point something or what.
It was over 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would anyone sell him or keep him? Would anyone sell him or keep him? Bear in mind, you're probably going to get clipped up if you say sell him. I'm at the stage of selling.
I think you guys
add somebody else to and change how we use him.
I put it in the chat at the end of the last score that give me 60 million plus Jack Grealish and he's theirs. I'll take it.
But you're not going to. That's not a deal that's going to happen.
Well, whatever, 50 million. I think
maybe McAtee plus cash is probably something.
If you want McAtee, 80 million plus McAtee.
Yeah, but teams aren't going to pay that for him.
But listen, we can hold.
You may as well say 200 million. It makes no odds.
If we're going to hold anyone to ransom,
if there's a bidding war, they might.
Might as well be Man City. Fucking money bags, man. Pardon my language. Money bags. Might as well hold them to ransom. If they really want him,
I don't even think Man City would want him. If I'm honest.
No, they do. They want him as an 8.
I've not spoken to Pep, and Pep has not said to me he wants him. And until that happens, I won't believe it.
And Man City buy people to stop other teams from having them. They literally do that.
I really hope he scores this Sunday against Man City. That would be so perfect, man. That would be so perfect.
He gets a hat trick against them. Why stop at 1?
Yeah.
All right, fine. 100 goals then. Right?
Yeah,
in this
100.
one.
Here we go. Now we're talking. It'd definitely be worth 100 million then.
I don't know. I'm interested in what the chat think. So let's do a quick poll on this one. I'm just.
I mean, people are just talking about 80 million plus or 60 million plus Jack Grealish. To be honest, I'd just swap him for Jack Grealish.
Straight
I
swap?
Jack Grealish is
No,
a better
bro.
player.
No.
Nah,
Somebody
not with
turn
the
up.
age. Not with the age difference.
Away. Take the age difference away. Forget the age difference. I think Jack Grealish is. Can you remember him at Villa in his proper position?
bro,
He was
brilliant.
magnificent.
It was
At
brilliant.
City,
I
they
mean,
put
we
him
are
out
talking
on the left, you know.
We are talking Championship Villa, but he was exceptional. You know, he was given a free role and he was allowed to be a menace. You know, and he was most games.
And he did win the treble in his first season at Man City. That ain't bad.
Yeah. Obviously.
Right. I want to ask you guys about this formation that we played, right? And chat, the poll's up there. And again, like, take it with a pinch of salt. I'm only interested in your opinion. You saying you want to sell him or keep him really doesn't mean shit because we have no say in it.
There's so much nuance in that question, though, isn't there? You know, it depends on how much and.
I know I haven't given a price or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just a rough guide, man. You know, I'm not going to
I
put it
know,
under
I know.
Marinakis' nose and say you must now sell him. 62% wanted him sold. Anyway, this formation,
I think we should.
I really like it because of the 3-man in midfield. And it's good to see that Nuno has been watching the tips that we've been giving them. Like, do you?
How would you have described our shape yesterday then?
I would have said 4-3-2-1 in the first half. Obviously, he changed it to a back 5 in the second. But I think they were rotating on who was the 6 at times. Because I thought it would just been straight Danilo.
I think we were rotating the 10, which is why you saw Anderson much more advanced in that first 20 minutes where he absolutely dominated the game.
Yeah,
So
and then you had Gibbs-White coming out as almost a right midfielder at some points. Yeah,
but also tucking in as well. So it was definitely a
don't
free
think we had a
reign for Anderson. Sorry, go on.
I don't think we had a 6. Not in the tradition. Not what I think of a 6. I think of a 6 as almost a deep line playmaker who cleans up, you know, and then spreads the ball about. We play with 2 there. I don't think we have an actual 6. I think
we had one sitting. So whenever I did notice it. So whenever Anderson was pushing forward, Dominguez was sitting in. And but like I say, that first 20 minute spell, it was that first 20 minute spell where it kind of gave
Danilo was the deepest of them all.
Yeah, Danilo was going back as well.
Right,
Dominguez
I
was
kind of
superb,
heard a little bit of trolling from Crypto on Danilo. I didn't think he had a bad game yesterday at all. I thought he much more effective than he was against Everton. Everton, they were all trash. So to be picking out Moreno or Danilo for that game, I think that's poor reviewing. But I think we're all trash against Everton, so we can't give anyone. What are we looking for now?
I was. To keep mumbling. Okay, look, now I'm just showing you this. This is the average Forest positions. There. Okay. Danilo 28 was the deepest of all the defenses. Now, this is obviously just average positions, right? They're not set in stone. I think it's quite interesting to see that you can see how clearly a narrow style was taken up in this game.
Oh, yeah.
Very narrow. It was like Noah's Ark,
isn't it? 4-2-2-2, you know. It was like
Noah's Ark.
Somebody describe it as that.
Can I come back on Gibbs-White a moment? Because I've actually done some research here. Well, we were talking about, you know, how many goals should he have by now, right? So we're considering that he's the number 10 for the third placed team and he's playing every game, right? So I'm going to go through the top scorer list and they'll pick out the 10s, right? So Cole Palmer, 14 goals. Cunha, 14 goals. Kluivert, 12 goals. Strand Larsen, 12 goals. João Pedro, 10 goals. Maddison, 9 goals. So those are all 10s, aren't they? I mean, Havertz is.
No, I wouldn't say Strand Larsen as well.
No, Strand Larsen's the only one I wouldn't have said.
Yeah, okay. But you know what I'm saying, right? I've just picked out six or 7 players. To be honest, I would take all of them over Morgan Gibbs-White. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, I would expect my 10, especially if you're third in the league, to be pushing on double digits.
Yeah,
that's
he
what I
should
mean.
be on 9 to 11 goals.
It's not outlandish for me to say. It should be at least 10 goals, 10 assists.
Because the rest of his game is up to the level of the players I've just mentioned, but his goal scoring is not. and that is
I
clearly.
agree exactly with that. I agree.
Okay, yeah, and I agree with what he said in the past about the nuances with assists, as key passes and all that sort of stuff. But when it comes to goals are goals, whether you tap them in, whether it's a penalty. How many penalties? Our penalties this season, Chris Wood's taken, hasn't he? So
taken most. I think Gibbs-White.
Yeah, MG Dub's not even had that this season because normally that accounts for 2 or 3 goals.
I think he had one earlier. I can't remember, man. My memory's so short this season. Anyway, let's come back to this formation stuff because I think this is quite fascinating to see. Chat, what would you call this? A few of you are saying a 4-2-2. I mean, that's proper FIFA formations there, but
yeah.
How are you seeing this?
I like you say, obviously, these are average positions, so it's not. People must look at that.
I'll bring the heat map on in a second, and we can have a look at that.
So if you imagine 15 and 7 actually coming back into the defence, there's your 4, and then if you imagine Elanga coming back with Chris Wood, you can see your 4-2-2-2.
But we
definitely gave him the wings. I mean, 50 crosses tells you that.
Clearly. Exactly. And you know what? So that was a record number of crosses in the game. The previous one was, I'm sure it was Brighton against us. And I'm sure prior to that, it was Wolves against us. So that Forest at their best are going to give teams the width. And that's exactly the game plan. So I actually heard that idiot come out and say that it was an outstanding performance by them last night. I mean, he's the most clueless manager in the league.
Honestly, mate,
I like him.
Well, yeah,
you really look like you. You must.
It's got nothing to do with that, and he doesn't. But I find him entertaining. So, what do you want to say, man?
Arrogant.
I don't know what you find entertaining about an idiot sitting there just talking bollocks. Oh, hang on, that's me.
Yeah, and talking down to fans, and
we've got you on here, haven't we?
That's what I said.
Let me just bring this. How the fuck's that?
Rob, don't think that I didn't notice your little dig at Joe Worrell earlier too. I'll have you know that Joe Worrell is now a Premier League defender again.
Not for long.
There's still time for them to sell him over the summer.
Yeah, not for long.
All right, so here's some heat map stuff that I just want to run by you guys.
Is that Ange Postecoglou's heat map? I didn't see him.
Yeah, that's Spurs' one on the left.
That's his brain scan.
So that's his their one on the left, ours on the right. You can see this is what interested me. A lot of our progressive attacks were coming down from the left-hand side. More so than the right. Well, nothing down the middle, basically. Nothing down the middle.
I tell you what, the one thing I did think while I was watching the match is I'd take that Odebert guy. I thought he was class.
He was from Burnley, wasn't he?
I think
he was.
Trash. We're having problems now. I think he's trash.
And I don't think Tells is very good as well. A few people saying
Tells had a lot of huff and puff and a lot of the ball. He had a lot of the ball, did nothing with it.
He's just Traore on the other side, mate. That's all he is. But actually, Traore's got an end product now. He's been practicing.
Yeah.
But no, I thought Tells was awful. I thought, you know what? Like I say, perfectly played into their hands. Perfectly played into their hands.
Actually, sorry, that's a good point. Right. That's something that we really need to take into consideration. All these other tens, all these other tens.
Don't just say really. You can read this one now. Thank Chris. Go on.
From Chris for £2. Thank you very much, mate. All those tens playing front foot teams, and that's a really good point.
That's not true. Wolves aren't a front foot team.
Yeah, I was going to say they're not.
Almost all those other tens.
Chris, what you needed to say.
Shout out to you there, Chris.
If your team's constantly attacking, you're going to get more chances, generally speaking. If you have more chances, you've got more chance of scoring, obviously.
Apart from the 2 teams on the wall behind my head, they're all front foot teams.
And by the way, Nicky, thank you for the 21 months. You're crazy.
Legend.
You're crazy. Yeah. Okay, so these heat maps are interesting, aren't they? I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. The Forest heat map's not too dissimilar to what you'd have seen under Cooper. If I'm being honest with you.
Second half was
second half.
Yeah, I didn't like that. That's why.
I don't care because we're winning. You get me?
Yeah.
It's just interesting to see that. I felt that most of Spurs' attack was coming down the left-hand side, but you can see most of their ball possession here was actually down the right-hand side, which furthermore goes to talk about how well Toffolo played. So,
yeah. I assume you guys have already touched on it, but I thought he did.
Don, have your 2 cents on him.
I thought he slotted in amazingly well. one thing we haven't really we not criticised him for is I think his defensively he's sound. It was just he hasn't got the pace going forward. He's got a great cross on him, but he's not often enough in a position to get those crosses in. But defensively yesterday he was spot on. Obviously that was if that goal goes in at that time, yes, we obviously conceded later on, but if it goes in at that stage, which I think it was like only like 5-10 minutes into the second half, then it's a whole different game, and then they're probably making their subs earlier as well. Which I mean, that's another thing that their manager failed on. Anyway, they made it clearly made it.
Well, while you're talking about him, sorry to interrupt you. I want to show you this. Rob's best bud. Shout out to WT Analysis as well. Make sure you're following him on Twitter. If someone could put his link in, that'd be fantastic. But yeah, go on. While you're talking about him, these are his touches. I love this. This is so cool. Look at that. It's just painting it on.
I like that. Yeah, I mean, it was solid, and that's all you can ask from him. You know, he didn't do anything fancy, didn't play any risky passes. You know, kept it nice and simple, and like I said, made a absolutely match saving clearance off the line. And he did say that he was told to stand there. You know, he's told to be there. So
yep.
A lot's got to be said about Nuno and his backroom staff being given this pre-season, and we're seeing the fruits of it now. Because as again, Toffolo's post-match interview is brilliant, actually. So if anyone hasn't seen it, please do watch back. And he gave a lot of a shout out to the fans as well, because I think his son was there, and obviously the fans love him.
He's crying,
and he is, really obviously brought a tear to his eyes, and it was something that he really appreciated from the fan base. And we do appreciate our players. You know, yes, sometimes we're not in the limelight as much as others, but everyone will play a part. Even Tyro, when he came on at the end, winning a couple of fouls in the corner, getting the fans on their feet, and it's brilliant. Everyone's part of it, and that's why we are where we are, and that's why I'm still fully
fans
confident.
can see your team trying, they'll always appreciate that team.
Yeah,
if you can see it, they try, and they want to do it.
Yeah, and you're right, and I think Rob said it as well. That Everton game showed, and fans had nothing to shout about that day. Yeah. We were poor, but they gave us nothing to shout about.
This is a good point in the chat, by the way. Good question. I would like to answer this. So, absolutely right. They had 51 crosses. How did Toffolo have a good game considering those stats? So I think that is how the team was set up.
Yeah.
You've got to consider that it was a deliberate. That the both of the fullbacks were getting doubled up on because there wasn't a right winger playing to come back and cover. Correct. We blocked out the middle of the park. Now, when we've seen Forest get really roughed up this season, it's when we've lost control of the middle of the park, and other teams have played it through us. It's a deliberate. I mean, we did it. I think best of all against Man City. The number of times in that Man City game at the City Ground where they had it on one wing and then they just ran into a dead end and they passed it all the way across the middle of the park to the other wing. Then they couldn't get through on that side, so they passed it all the way back again, and eventually it went back to the keeper. So what we've got is a bank of four with two guys in front of them, and we're saying, go down the wings, down the wings, because we know that we've got the aerial prowess to deal with it. Now, 51 is probably pushing it a bit because they did score one in the end. But I think that I don't think you should necessarily chew out the fullbacks when we've basically created a formation that is driving the opposition onto them. I think they both had very good games.
Yeah, I agree.
You bang on. And when you say the Man City game, I'll actually go a step further. The best example of it was the Man City game that Cooper took charge of. Even though we only drew that game, I think that Man City game, that Man City team was a lot better than the one we saw this season. And the thing is, you're putting it out in the wide positions, or you're letting them go in those wide positions. Think about it like old school wars that I'm sure everyone studied at school, where you'd talk about the tactics of what they did at war. They would like to let the flanks go round, or do you know what I'm saying? Or we'll attack them around here. We'll put our artillery this side.
So just think about it. Let's say it's 51 crosses go into the box, right? 20 of those are going to be headed out by Milenkovic.
Milenkovic, yeah.
10 of those will go to the feet of a Forest player who can start a counter-attack, right?
And another 7 will end up in Sal's hands or punched away by the keeper.
Think about the goal we scored against Man United at home. From their corner, it gets headed out, then to Yates, and then Elanga runs up and scores, right? So we are actually milking these second balls when we're heading the crosses out.
Pause,
and stop it. we are profiting of these second balls from when we're clearing the crosses.
I mean, Rob's right. There's loads of analysis on YouTube about how we play, and I'm yet to hear any of them saying, we're trying to milk a set of balls, but we.
That's going to get clipped now, isn't it?
Repause.
We don't want people going down the middle effectively. They're purposely pushing them out wide because there's so much trust in the centre backs, centre halves, that we're going to clear the ball and start a counter from it. And that is literally what Forest are doing. If you watch all the analysis channels, that's basically Forest's game plan, is that we go on the counter by effectively giving the other team possession and hoping they lose it. So when all their players are in the box, coming forward to try and score a header on the cross, if we get that chance to pick it up, that's when we go ahead and score. And that is effectively Forest's game plan this season in a nutshell.
And another massive part of our game plan,
Benjamin.
Another massive part of our game plan is getting that early goal. 24 games we scored the first goal now. That's obviously the highest in the league. And that's led to 17 wins out of those 24 games. That's absolutely ridiculous stats, and nothing we could have even dreamed of happening. So you got to look at where we've come from to where we are now. It's just absolutely nice.
But you think the opposition, if the opposition let a goal in early on now, do you think they think, oh shit, this is Forest, we've had it?
I don't know. Nick thinks that. He tells me every time we go 1-0 up, he goes, "Why'd you worry?" Because you've won it. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Well, when I'm talking to people, when they ask me what I think the game's going to go, I say, "Well, Forest will score early, and that's it. That's the end of the game."
That's a big difference from last year, isn't it? Because last year, how many times did we surrender a lead after going ahead? I think we were the worst in the league.
How many times did those win 3-2 as well? Do you know what I'm saying? They were painful.
I think we were worst in the league for surrendering.
I think we were, Rob.
Last year.
And in that first season, it was as soon as we conceded a goal, that was it, game over.
Oh, yeah. Or because you knew another one was coming from a few minutes later.
Yeah, it became bug off. Remember the old joke we had? Yeah. Can we need to talk about Elliot Anderson. I don't think he's been given enough flowers right now. Before we do, please make sure you've hit that like button. Make sure you've subscribed. We've got, 400 in here, something like that. I don't know what the like count that. Mods, check it. To get those pushing for the likes. This is again another heat map on Elliot Anderson, and this is where I want to have this debate of what is he, because I've argued 8, Ant's argued 6. You could argue 10. Now he's found some shooting boots from yesterday. I'm interested in what you guys think. 137, Carol. Zal, Carol, get them getting those likes to 150. If you look at this now, Rob, you're more geeky than me on this, but this is basically telling you, and it's kind of well illustrated by WT analysis. Again, make sure you're following Legend on Twitter. But a lot of the work is going on in this area here. A lot of his action points. Move that, Crypto. I can't show everyone this. So anything with the triangle is a tackle. Anything with the square is aerial. Anything with a triangle upwards. It's fascinating to see. But in essence, a lot of his works happened almost in our own box. So is there the argument to say that he is a 6?
He seems a bit left-sided to me. He's right-footed, but left-sided. I haven't seen him play really completely centrally.
Again, he's right-footed. He feels like he should be left-footed. Do you know what I mean?
So he's never really been trusted with that. So if you were going to give him that role, it's like saying you would have potentially Gibbs-White and Danilo in front of him, and he's like the linchpin or like the double pivot. But I don't know. I actually like it when he gets forward, and I think if they're both here next season, he's going to score more goals than Gibbs-White, because I think he's I was just want to say, right, the number of times the ball comes out from a corner like that, and you think, why doesn't somebody just have a first-time shot?
Yeah.
Why don't someone just have a go? Because they always want to sort of chip it in or fanny around with it somehow. It's just like, have a go, and it's like pinball. And of course, it's going to take a deflection, but that's the chance that you're taking, isn't it? And I was so happy he did that, and I wish we would do it a little bit more. I mean, we don't get a lot of corners, but I think the problem is if you play him that far back, which he's good at, you're losing his contributions further forward. And he does play a lot of triangles with Hudson-Odoi and Gibbs-White, and I wouldn't want him basically shackled to the edge of the box. I thought that was what Sangare was for.
Can I just
wait, just before I come to you, Ant, sorry. So what position are you saying, 10, 8 or 6? There's a poll in there. Just give me the number.
Well, he's like a 6 and an 8. He's a 14.
All right, Ant, go on, Ant.
No, I was just going to say, given the choice, I'd rather have somebody like Sangare as the player we thought he was going to be, but so far he's not proven it. But imagine if he was the player we thought as a 6 and Anderson as an 8. Okay. But at the moment, I think he's our best option at 6. Does that make sense? Is that good? He could play 6 or 8. And I prefer him in the 8 because, like Rob says, he's got more room to create and everything. But at the moment, because we're missing a 6, I'd prefer him in the 6.
I think I've got to echo that. I've kind of got to echo what Ant's saying there, because I think ideally we want him to have a freedom in that. Have a 6 behind him, or even 2 6s behind, but somebody that allows him to get that time on the ball and get forward, and mix in with MGW, effectively having basically 2 10s when you've got 2 players behind him. But right now, I think I agree with Ant. Until we get a proper number 6 in, I think he does that role well. It just takes away from his attacking side, because otherwise he's trying to do too much. If he's a 6, let him be a dedicated 6. Don't get him rushing all over the place and burning himself out, because he does tend to do that. But I would love to see him being given a freer role, because I think he's so effective when he's given that role, and just take the shackles off him. He's one of those kind of players that will come up with something special every now and again, but I think we've shackled him a bit too much this season. And when you've seen him get that freedom, like yesterday, just 20 minutes yesterday, and he won the game for us effectively. So
it's funny because the Geordies
I love what he did yesterday.
the Geordie married. Sorry, as I was just going to say, the Geordies called him Geordie Maradona. So I was expecting this proper 10, silky feet, which he's got.
He's definitely got the feet.
But I didn't realise that he could dig in as well and get tackles in and win the ball. That's something I didn't know he had in his game, because obviously I don't see much of him at Newcastle. Nobody has.
And he might work as part of a high pressing team if we ever became one, because you remember what he did against Matty Cash when we beat Villa? He robbed him on the edge of the box and put it in for Elanga's winner. And I really like that. So that's what I'm saying. I don't necessarily want to chain him to the edge of the box, because he can do stuff like that up front.
I don't want to wax lyrical about other players too much, but he's I really like Morgan Rogers, and I think he's the closest Morgan Rogers type player we've got. I think he's got everything. I think he just needs that bit more of a self-belief in himself. Taking that shot like he did first time yesterday was brilliant, but he needs to have some more self-belief, but also given that freer role. But right now, until we get a proper number 6, I think we need to hold him back a little bit.
He really hit that well as well. He kept it down, which is one thing that annoys me about footballers, when they keep kicking it over the bar for no reason. He kept it down so well.
Did you notice how the chance came to him? This is how deluded they are, right? So Pedro Porro actually tried to flick it to Kulusevski for a counter-attack, and obviously sliced it horribly. Well, Kulusevski wasn't expecting it, and it ended up at Anderson's feet. But cracking finish, and I think wasn't it his pass that set up MG? It was his pass into MG Dub that set up the corner, wasn't it? Because MG Dub span and hit it first time, and that's So I mean, it
was Wood.
No, it was.
Didn't he do the assist for the offside goal as well?
You know the one where he MG Dub turned and shot, and then
sorry, I thought it's my MGW's.
That one. So that was Anderson's pass into him, where So a couple of things that he did in that first 15, 20 minutes is what put us on the front foot and effectively took the game away from them, because that's all we needed to do. I agree. I think you guys have already mentioned the Morato sub seemed a little hasty, but he's obviously saving Elanga because he said it was a tactic. But I thought Morato had a good game.
Yeah, why not bring on Hudson-Odoi then?
Or so.
He brought him on after
well.
10 minutes, didn't he? So yeah, because he actually got them ready straight after he's made.
I think he should have brought Yates on. Like that would have been the better sub, because Yates can't play on Sunday.
No,
Yates
Yates
can't play on
ready, and then
Sunday.
he put his top back on. So I don't understand why he didn't make
you're right.
Yeah, he was going to bring Yates on, and then he changed his mind.
Do we all think that Dominguez had another good game? He's really coming into some form now when we need it.
I think he was very good, but he's just busy, but not in a progressive way. That's mine.
Well, to Ben's stats, he only gave the ball away 4 times.
I mean, that's
no. I'm not saying that. I just don't. I don't think he's the biggest influence in the transition. He's good at winning the ball.
No, I know he had that one chance to set Elanga free, and if that had been MG, he would have been free, you know. And he just didn't. He had a good.
He put a lot of work.
I'm not knocking. I think he's been brilliant. I think his work rates are up there with Morgan Gibbs-White.
He's similar to how he was last year when we were praising him a lot.
Yeah. But is he really doing anything to push the ball in the
opposite?
Not all,
I agree, Wolfie, but not all midfielders are going to be progressive midfielders.
Yeah, we need disruptors, and he's a disruptor.
We haven't got a single one. That's what I'm saying.
Well, but we're supposed to have MGW, Anderson, Danilo. These are all supposed to be.
Anderson is a disruptor. He wins the ball a hell of a lot.
I said I'd sell the whole midfield apart from Anderson. I stand by that still.
Yeah. But, and also, I think we need to give flowers once again for another superb display by Matt Sells in goal. Where have we got this?
Oh my God! So that clearance that bobbled off the defender and went straight to Richarlison, and he just blocked.
Yeah, just came out. Yeah.
Didn't he? Just put his body in the way.
And then, well, you know what? When that happened, I could see him coming out, and I thought he's going to save this. He's going to block. He's going to get in this. He was so big, and then the save he made as well.
Fast and decisive to come on.
You know what? I know we joked about it at the time, but he genuinely has not been the same since he had that injury at Chelsea. Seriously, something happened.
Knock on the head.
Yeah, but knock on the head.
Well, the 2-0 one.
Cracking game. He made some world-class saves in that game, and he's just not
wow. That's like when people get superpowers. Something else can get superpowers, don't they?
It's like you see mothers lifting cars to save their babies and all this stuff, isn't it? Right, just before we carry on, shout out to Chris with another £2. He goes 6s and 8s. It's all BS. He's a proper all-round midfielder. Yeah. I do actually agree with him. I think you could call him a box-to-box midfielder. Yeah. I think that would be the better definition.
I'm talking about more of what Forest needs rather than what where he should be playing. Yeah.
I hear that. So thank you so much again, Chris, for the £2. Someone's asked, Wolfie, can you let us know what other shows you're on? I'm always missing them. Mike Keyway, cool name by the way. I'm on Never a Foul tonight at 10:45. Deji will be on. And I've given Deji a free pass because he's been respectful the last few weeks. But since Forest have lost, he's suddenly found a pair of kahunas on him. Yeah. And he's got a few things that he's got to answer for. So I'll be on Never a Foul tonight at 10:45. I'm on Husam tomorrow at 5.
And did you go on with Sava?
Yeah. Just before, literally right till 6:30. I just went straight from one to the other.
Yeah.
Oh, so we were all late, were we? Not just
no.
me.
I was on time as always.
I was 1 minute early.
Yeah, I was on time. I was just dead on time.
Well, I've given you my excuses. I'm still in my work uniform, for frick's sake.
You're looking like you're about to go waiter at like the Ritz.
Hey, that's my side hustle. Don't tell them all, man.
Chris with another £2. He goes back to 10s.
Known as MGW. Oh, right. Back to talking about number 10. None of them have the MGW's work rate.
Yeah, Chris, but I don't think you need that level of work rate as a 10. I think that's another indictment as to why he should be an 8, because the work rates of the 8 are so much more important.
I think he's an 8. I think he's an 8.
I think he's an 8. I really do.
And he's more likely to play for England as an 8 because the competition tends to stick. It's too steep.
I mean, what's the difference between an 8
Villa
and a
are
10?
1-0 up.
The major
Wait,
difference between an 8 and
wait.
a 10. The
I thought
major
it
difference
started
between
at
an 8
8.
and a 10 is
I
work
thought it
rate.
started at 8.
Yeah, it does start at 8.
Started at 8 then,
Just start at 10.
Somebody's trolling us.
Oh, bloody hell, Jason, man. I'm freaking just because I'm tired.
You're check, bro.
What result do we want from that game?
Well,
Draw.
that's what I'm about to come
Draw.
on to you.
I think we need City to win.
Unequivocal.
No, I'm not
All right,
having
hold
it.
on. That's the
Draw.
next segment. You don't just say, "We're going to go." I need City to win. No. We've got marinate
Draw.
that a little bit, right? We've got the audience watching. So,
Yeah.
guys, we are on 161 likes. Should be on 200 likes. Still about 400 of you in here. That is the next subject we're moving on to talk to. What result do we need tonight? And I'm going to get you guys in the audience to participate in that result. By the way, 69% of you think that Anderson is an 8. I would tend to agree with the 69% there. Okay. What is the best outcome here? Who wants to have... No one scored. That guy was trolling. They didn't start till 8 o'clock. Hence why we did it at 6:30, so we can make sure we're awake for 8 o'clock, because I want to watch the game, right? This game's important, but this table is getting so tight, boys, that I just don't know which way we need it to swing anymore, right? So, who wants to take the first stab at what the best result is?
I'll pick up, because I started this discussion a bit earlier. We need this top 7 to turn into a top 5, right? We need a top 5 with a gap, and then we're home and dry. So we need to pick out who is going to drop off. I would have said Chelsea, but then they won at Fulham, which is an impressive result. Fulham have gone to crap now, but
Chelsea played badly
Chelsea
as well.
have the hardest fixtures. So so I would say hopefully they will F off, leaving us.
Sorry, who did you say?
Chelsea. Hopefully Chelsea will F off, leaving us with a top 6, right? Now, I would...
sorry, I said the wrong one.
The worst possible outcome...
It is up here, but...
What are we doing? Where have I gone?
He likes that. He likes that.
The worst possible outcome from this is a Villa win, I think, because it keeps them... well, they go above us, in fact. Let's have a look. Do they actually go above us if they win?
No, Villa will not go above us.
No difference. But, you know, then it stays very much as a top 7.
Oh
Now,
my God. Sorry to interrupt you, Rob. But this is pure troll right here. 199 from Nicky. Can't believe Rob has always wanted Miguel in goal.
It's kind of true, to be fair.
That's not strictly true.
No, he just wanted us to risk Premier League points by strying him out.
Stop it.
Yeah, that's
It was interesting, Nicky, because Rob had this big thing about seeing Miguel in the cup, and then he came on here and said he doesn't care about the FA Cup.
And then Miguel saw him in the cup. Then Nicky saw Miguel in the FA Cup. And for 3 weeks, he was sending me voice notes about the wet dreams he was having about Miguel. Right?
Milking the balls.
Anyway, sorry, let's go. Shout out to Nicky for the super
I
chat.
don't want City to beat Villa, because then they go ahead of us and we're back down to 4th.
So what? It's not about that though, surely, Rob.
Yes.
Like positioning
I know.
doesn't matter.
Hang on, let Rob bury himself.
We need 2 of these teams to F off and just leave us with a top 5, because this top 7 is just too nerve-wracking. Let's hope that Chelsea crack, but I don't see who else is going to crack. Villa are 5 straight wins now. I don't know. The worst would be Villa to win. Probably the best, the most logical answer is like a 0-0 draw. But then, you know, so I think that's what we're going to have to hope for, which I'm not going to watch that game just to hope for a 0-0 draw.
Not true.
But, considering other results have not been going our way, Villa might win this. And then we'd look, by the way, if you asked me what I wanted, I would love.
I did about 20 minutes ago.
Right. So if you asked me,
it's nearly half time in the Villa Man City game, right?
I would love both Man City and Chelsea to miss out on the Champions League. Right. I would love it to be Forest, Newcastle, and Villa. But to be honest, we need 2 of those teams to F off. And I think it's Chelsea +1 So, if Villa lose tonight, maybe they'll fall away. I don't think they will, though.
So what's your answer, Rob?
Yeah, I'm still.
I want to draw. I want to draw.
Fucking hell. All right, cool.
Say 0-0 draw.
Well, hang on a minute, right? You said
Hang
about.
on, let's move on. Let's move on.
Let's marinate it, yeah? So I've done that for
There's
you.
marinating
now.
and there's
Let's see what you've
overcooking, man.
Yeah. Bloody
That was a
hell.
slow-
Ben, what are you saying?
So I mean, everyone's going to hate me for this because I've seen about 100 comments in the chat saying draw, but in my warped mind, I started to agree with Rob, and then he said something completely that just made no sense. I agree. We need teams to drop off. Well, for teams to drop off, for me, I want Man City to win, and the reason why I want them to win is because if Villa get a point, I agree with Rob. The worst thing that could happen is Villa win, right? So I don't want Villa to win. But if you give Villa a point, they're then one win away from going above us. Whereas at the moment, if they win, they're nowhere near us because of goal difference. How many goals back are they?
Yeah, they're on. It's there on your screen.
They're 8 goals behind us.
Good
so that
point.
1 point for Villa would be really, really crucial. So for me, I would rather Man City go ahead and just win the game and Villa drop off and have no points from it. Because if they get 1 point, then that goal difference between us and Villa no longer means anything. They're 1 win away.
Interesting. Is that swayed the poll? I can't see the poll because I haven't got a spare screen. What are they saying in the chat? What's the poll saying in the chat? Which way are they saying? I think you can make an argument for everything here. I really do. But go on.
No, it's absolutely unequivocal, no doubt whatsoever. Anybody who doesn't agree with me is a no. I nearly swore then. Is a fool. It's got to be a Manchester City win, quite clearly.
And I always agree with you about everything.
We always do, don't we? It's eerie. Because it's a top 5 race, not a top 4 race. It's a top 5 race. I don't care where we finish as long as we finish in the top 5.
Well,
so
the chat says draw.
I don't care. I don't care if Manchester City go ahead of us. It's irrelevant.
I agree.
The two that are in danger of missing out at the moment are Chelsea and Villa. I don't think Chelsea will be there. They've got Liverpool away next, and they've got us to play as well. Don't forget that's quite an important factor as well. And they've got Newcastle to play. So I'm not considering Chelsea in it. Okay, so it's Villa, and as my esteemed over there quite rightly pointed out, goal difference. It's the only team we have a superior goal difference, and it's well superior goal difference in. That's an extra point.
Yeah,
that is an extra point. So if you look at it now, Villa have got 57. If you play the extra point, they've got 56. That all of a sudden makes that gap look not so bad. Not so bad. If they were to lose again and we beat Brentford, that's a 7-point gap.
Yeah,
including the goal difference situation. That should do it. So and Villa can't keep winning. So for me, unequivocal, Manchester City. I don't care if they finish above us or not because it will keep Villa down.
I agree. I completely agree, and I'd still love to know what the Rob's saying he'd like it to be a 0-0 draw. What if it's a 10-10 draw? It doesn't make any difference.
I know because goals scored make a difference.
Yeah,
if you're on,
but they're so far behind on goal difference. They're 8 goals behind.
I'm just saying. You remember when we stayed in the Championship on goals scored?
Yes, we do, Rob. You don't have to go on about it. We do remember it.
It does matter.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ez, what are you saying? Are you? Could you give me an argument for why Villa winning would be the best outcome?
Just say no.
No. Magic for subscribing.
No, that for me is the worst outcome. A Man City win or a draw, I think, is our best option because technically they're playing first in this. Like I said, we're going to be playing last in this game week. So even though it's fallen in technically FPL terms, it's fallen in game week 33. It's because obviously Villa are going to be in the cup, and the other game that's being played is tomorrow.
Man City are in the cup. So here's the point: do we want them going into Sunday's game off the back of a win, loss, or draw tonight?
Do we care?
Cup is bonus to me. Cup is bonus, man.
I don't think
but the point is that if Man City win tonight, they're going to be all puffed up for the weekend, ready to do us over.
I think you see changes.
I'd like them to get 0-0 draw with lots of injuries tonight.
Marmoush out.
No,
Suspend-
you're not allowed to
It's
say that,
suspended,
Rob.
Rob.
Apparently, you're a horrible person if you
But yeah,
want injured player.
unless-
You're meant to, as a football fan of this modern snowflake age, want every football player to be fully fit when they face your team. Anyway,
I know we're not going to
Yeah.
call.
I like
All right,
that.
I know we're not going to call Brentford a must-win game, but we're expecting to win that game at home, aren't we?
wait, have we finished this bit? Have you all agreed or
Yeah,
something?
but I haven't.
Still
No,
no.
I've technically finished.
I
I'm going
need-
for the
all right,
draw.
I just need
I think draw
someone.
is the best option because.
All right,
we've got
fine.
to-
All right, cool. But
Man
one of
City
you's
win.
got to tell me how, if Villa win, basically, I think Josh is on tonight. So if Villa win, I need to find a way of why that wasn't the best outcome, or that was the best outcome for us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it won't. It isn't.
I mean, the
So
only
you-
way.
Okay, you're not hearing me. I need
I-
something.
I am hearing you.
If Villa win, we're still third.
I'll
If
say
Villa win, we're still third, and it's still in our hands. How
I'll
about
say
that?
hypothetically,
Yeah.
if Villa win.
Yeah, but it's not the
then
best
City look
outcome.
more like the team who are going to drop out, but I don't want it
If
to happen.
Villa win tonight, I think this is a hardest of their last 5 league games. If you look
Yeah.
at the remaining league games, Fulham, Bournemouth, Spurs, and Man U, you'd fancy them in all of them.
I mean,
Yeah,
if,
you
if
can't
Villa
do
win
it tonight.
drop out the top 5.
If they win tonight, I don't know. That's good for them, man. That's the best. Obviously, that puts them in a huge. I mean, what are they 5 wins in a row at the moment?
Yeah,
I think-
they're gonna have to
The
lose at
best
some
any
point.
team's done is 6 in a
It-
row, which is
it- you know-
us, Newcastle, and somebody else has done. But
It's really
know.
disappointing how
And
Fulham,
Newcastle again.
Newcastle again.
Bournemouth, and Brighton have all gone off now. Just when we don't have to play them, and all these other people
It's
are playing.
so annoying, man. I
Yeah,
hate
that
that
is frustrating.
Bournemouth team so much.
yeah,
It's
that's very
disgusting.
frustrating.
Oh, by the way, people, when I say anybody that doesn't agree with me is a fool, that's a joke. I'm the guy that wanted Nketiah. Just remember that, okay?
He wasn't joking. He was deadly serious. And if you want to,
No, I was deadly serious. That's what I'm saying. Don't take me seriously when I say stuff.
No, take him seriously, and then make sure you report.
Yeah,
him.
have a look at
The
Man
internet,
City's
please.
lineup tonight.
Oh, should we
Go on,
go
Ed.
through the lineups? Yeah. So,
Yeah,
hang
oh,
on.
okay.
Are you going to watch along, Wolfie?
But fuck no, man. I would like to have some form of a life at some point, right?
Yeah, right.
Since when?
And he's on never a foul anyway. So
I'm never foul after.
He can squeeze it in. He can squeeze it
straight
in.
after?
Oh,
I'm gonna be
again.
squeezing it out soon, mate. Hold
Yeah.
on, man.
I knew we couldn't get through a whole stream
cool.
without it.
All right, so the Man City team. I really hate how they do their team sheet. It's
God,
so
horrible.
it kind of looks cool for a second, and then you just think, no, just why, right? So hold on, let's bring this up for you guys.
looks like Marmoush playing up front.
Yeah.
Marmoush, mate. Marmoush. All right, there's the
Yeah, well,
City
he's
team.
not been great. He's not been great.
Yeah.
He has been good. So they got Nunes, Diaz,
last
Kovacic, Gundogan, McAtee. Keep an eye on McAtee, by the way, chat. He is linked to
You know
Forest.
which player I really like and nobody else in the world does? Nunes. Matthias Nunes. I think he's really good.
No.
He's been so crap for them at right back.
Awful.
He's not a right back,
He's not a right
obviously.
back,
Yeah,
is he?
he's not a right back.
No, I'm just saying he's been crap there.
Yeah, so I don't know what you've seen of him.
When I
and
think, because when I see him go forward, Ed, he's so powerful and he's got
Yeah,
such
but-
control.
Matt, you're an asshole. but I love you.
Pep Guardiola didn't pay 70 million for nothing. You know what I mean?
I don't think that's a strong team, guys. I don't think that's a strong team.
They haven't got a strong team.
Yeah, but this could be the team that's facing us on Sunday. I mean, what's
I
missing there?
fancy us on Sunday. Don't you? I fancy us again. I watched City the other day against Everton. I thought, oh my God.
Yeah, but
I
this
wouldn't mind
time
playing
yesterday,
you.
and you didn't fancy us on over Scunthorpe United, right? So I don't know how seriously I can take you.
True. This is true.
But what's really missing from that Man City
I
team?
mean, maybe a Phil Foden, maybe
Doku and Foden.
Kusanov, but
Yeah,
not
but
much more.
Doku, I now pocketed him last time, didn't he?
Doku's
I
ASM in disguise, and Foden's been out of form all
Yeah,
year.
but maybe
It
Kusanov.
depends
That's
if
probably
De
the only one.
Depends if De Bruyne wants to go out with a bang.
I think Ortega's their number one
very
now.
well.
Ez.
Well, let's have a look at the Aston Villa team.
Yeah, or
I've
think
got
it's
a-
the only one. I mean, Kusanov a defender.
Can I just say, because
Something
someone, I don't know who mentioned it, but someone said earlier maybe it's like a mind game with this MGW link to Man City. Surely
Yeah.
that means that then MGW plays the game of his life against them if he wants to prove himself.
That's why I said I hope he scores. You know what I'm saying?
I tell
That
you
was
who I
like
think's
half
had
an
a
hour
great
ago, Ben,
who had
man.
a great season for Villa this year, and I didn't actually. My bad. I didn't actually rate him that highly. That's Tielemans. I think he's had a Tielemans.
Man, he's been quality, man.
He's been really good this
yeah.
season. Yeah,
Him
really.
and
good.
Kamara, I like that as a 6 and a double
Him and
pivot.
Kamara,
I like
exactly. I think that's one of the best centre midfield
Yeah.
pairings.
I wish he'd had his haircut though. Kamara, he looks like
Man,
an
you got,
idiot. with that.
man, you got to know these things. You got to grow it out a bit so you can do the braids and the things, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know
O
about
Watkins on the bench. O Watkins on the bench. Like,
Watkins was well good last time.
Wait, let me just shout this team out just in case
Yeah.
you guys can't see it.
Yeah.
Chat. You got Martinez in goal, Matty Cash. I still don't like that. Anyway, Konsa, Pau Torres, Dina, and then he's gone for Inana, Kamara, and he's gone for a workhorse midfield there. And Tielemans and Ramsey and Rodgers and Trashford. Interesting. What the hell?
What about the bench? That's the thing about Villa.
I think Rashford's going to go through the middle.
Yeah.
And he's got
Can you imagine if we had Watkins on the bench? Can you imagine just how
I do
different?
not rate Watkins at all, mate.
You
All
don't.
right, you'd rather have Taiwo, would you? You'd rather have Taiwo.
I'd prefer Taiwo on the bench.
Oh my god! You know Taiwo shot yesterday where he completely airshot. Fucking hell, man! I was
his t-shirt was good though, wasn't it?
Within me just to crack,
brilliant.
and that's in a pressure stress situation, and I still wanted
Yeah,
to
but
crack.
then he won 2 free kicks straight after, man, right on the byline. He was brilliant, man.
He did
I
all
like
right.
that,
He
man.
did all right. He did all
God
right.
is the greatest.
It's
God is the
getting
greatest.
comical, guys. I'm sorry, it's getting comical. The man can't shoot, man. He can't shoot.
Yeah, he still did a shirt off celebration. God is
If
the
you,
greatest.
yeah, I know. If you went 2-1
Oh yeah, he
up,
did, didn't he? Yeah.
If you
God,
went
he's
to-
great.
I was wondering what was he
That
doing?
was
Did he
fantastic.
score?
We
Did I
love
miss
that.
it? Did I
We
pass
love
out
that.
in stress?
I mean, he was celebrating like he'd won the cup. He'd just been
yeah, he
pretty.
celebrated that free kick that he won.
You know, the other one is celebrating. I was like, mate, you'd only been on 30 seconds
Have
or
you
so.
seen a bench? They've got Sensio on the bench.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
it's sick, isn't it?
By the way, sorry, I've got to ask this. Was I wrong to kick off about Callum Hudson-Odoi and Sosa not taking it to the corner
No,
flag?
absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Yeah, thanks.
No, I want to.
Yeah, I mean,
Because think about it. In fact, I want to just praise Ilanga, right? So remember, I chewed Ilanga out in the last second against
Pause.
You
Everton.
did what? You did what?
He's on it
In the
tonight,
last-
Rob, isn't he?
That's
In the
disgusting.
last
That's
second against Everton, his
That is
decision to
disgusting.
square the ball cost us that point, right?
Would you have pulled him off at half time, Rob?
No, I would not. But to
What?
be fair, Ilanga put the cross in for Wood last night. He did very well. He just crossed it straight away. He didn't mess around with it. Didn't square it. Yeah, all right.
What? Didn't mess around with what, Rob?
This
What are you
is the
talking
way you
about?
said
What are
it,
you
man.
talking
I
about?
chewed him up.
You pulled him off at half time. You've chewed him off, and now you're not messing around with it, man. Get a grip.
Yeah, they should have gone to the corner flag. It would have been the percentage.
But why didn't they, man? This isn't
don't
the first
know.
game they've done that. Do you remember when they did? I can't remember what the other game was, a couple of weeks ago, where they did the same
Maybe
thing.
they
And the
do-
thing
maybe
that
they
blew my
do it
mind was
in
that
Paraguay,
Callum
maybe.
Hudson-Odoi loses the ball. Whatever happened in that sequence, a minute later, Spurs get their first goal. It's just so infuriating, man. Sorry, you were saying that.
Was I? What was I saying?
I don't know. I could hear
Who's the
your
president?
voice, but I was
Who's the
getting angry.
president? What year is it?
I was getting angry. Okay. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about, or any weird innuendos you want to chuck our way?
I'm
we've
I'm
not
still
even
trying to recover
mentioned
from
it.
The FA Cup game. Is it
Yeah,
too soon
exactly.
for that?
No, we'll do a full build up for the FA Cup
Yeah.
match. It's gonna be fun.
Okay.
By the way, 59% of the chat say draw, and there is 6% they've gone with Villa. I would love to know your reasonings. Unlike Anne, I'm interested
fans.
to know.
The Villa fans.
Villa fans, yeah.
They're not Villa fans, man. Champions League Warpath with a picture of. Oh, you got the jumper back on today, Rob. Rob, did you wear the hat yesterday?
I actually did. I went upstairs and
Oh
got
my
it for the last 5 minutes. No,
Well
for the last
done,
5
mate.
minutes. After Richarlison scored, I thought, get the hat now. And it got us over the line. It's going to Wembley on Sunday as well, that hat.
Good man. Good man.
Oh,
Even
and
if it's
speaking of
25
which,
degrees.
Matt, drop me a WhatsApp because Jonathan wants that lift. Right, so or maybe you have. Sorry, I've not been on
Quick
my
word
phone.
with you, Rob, afterwards. Just a quick one.
Yeah, a few words with you, Rob, afterwards.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Rob, I'd like to have a few words here.
Are we going to be milking
Yeah,
the
Rob, I
second
don't want to
ball?
have any. Yes, Matt, you're in there. Fantastic. Right, Matt, just drop me a quick WhatsApp. Jonathan, I'll give you Jonathan's number. Perfect. Freaking okay, good man. Because I felt so guilty. I was like, oh crap, I haven't given Jonathan Matt's number and vice versa. Cool. If that's still going, then if you don't mind giving him a WhatsApp, bro, and then sort it out. Fantastic. Okay, I'm gonna go watch the game. I'll be back at Never a Foul at 10:45. Deji, man, you are in serious shit. I can't wait. Anything else you guys need to cover off?
Sounds like Rob's covered somebody all off.
Yeah.
On that note, make sure you've liked, make sure you're subscribed. Come on, you Reds.
You Reds.
You Reds.